Alright, so welcome back to the best series in the world, which is F123 My Team Career mode. Now, yesterday's episode was a mixture of up and downs because, I qualified on pole by 3.5 tenths, a really solid qualifying lap, and then going into the sprint race, I led for 4 out of the 5 laps, and then Oscar Piastri got me at the final lap to take the win. And then starting from P2 in the main race, I did manage to retake P1 off Piastri, but I simply didn't have the pace to stop this man. I don't know what Piastri had for breakfast, I don't know how many Red Bulls he drank, but he was flying, he was unbeatable, and then unfortunately his teammate was like, hang on a minute here, Piastri's beating me, and as Max Verstappen, I can't be having that, so he whizzed past me and went to chase his teammate down, so unfortunately I finished a merely P3. And yet somehow I still managed to extend my gap in the Drivers' Championship to 101 points now, and we also have a 90 odd point sign in the Constructors. I can't do basic maths, and today we are heading to Monza. And it's quali time. Let's get my Monza race setup on. There it is. Make sure we are running on as low fuel as possible. And we are going to head out for, as per usual, 2 hot laps. And the first one, more so being to learn, when to brake and some other little things. And then my second run is where we give it the beans and try and get a top 3 finish. Right, hot lap number 1, and I will say it has been a very long time since I last drove at Monza, and I'm actually very excited for it because I do really like this track. So let's try and not outbrake myself into turn 1, brake a bit earlier than it says, and that was almost perfect. I said I could do a couple meters later, and I don't know if you just heard or saw then, going down the main straight with ERS-DRS, I actually managed to get to the speed limit of 365, so we've got some straight line speed in this business. Into the next corner, that ain't bad. I like to ride the curb because it's the fastest way to do it, so I'm going to do it. Pretty poor around the first Lesmo, just too wide. Second one, a bit crap as well. Now we've got some more DRS. What kind of straight line speeds we're hitting down here? Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is fast. Into, I've gone a bit too on the inside there. What's that corner called? The Ascari Chicane, that's the one. And then to the best corner name in Formula 1 history, the Parabolica. Unbelievable that that's actually the name of the corner. Round the outside of it, get on that curb. It's a pretty dismal lap, but so we're going to cross the line and we are going to put it P14. Why do I always put it P14? Is that the 3rd or even 4th episode in a row that after my first run, I'm P14? Like, why is it always P14? Alright, so something a little bit concerning. As you can see, the gap to the next cars ahead is 7 tenths to Doohan, 8 tenths to Norris, and 1.2 seconds to pole, 1.2 seconds off my teammate. Where am I actually losing that time? So I'm losing 4 tenths in the first sector, 4 tenths in the second sector, and 4 tenths in the third sector. So there's not even one key point. It's the entire track I'm slower. Great. Now, if I'm going to speak truthfully, I ain't finding 1.2 seconds on this lap. Even if I do the most perfect lap I can possibly do, I am not finding 1.2 seconds. So I know it's quite low. I'm aiming for like a top 8. So let's go. Now, of course, my first run wasn't my best, and the whole point of it is to learn exactly how to drive this track. So let's see if I can put that to good use. Into the first corner, braking later than I did on my first run. Almost perfect. No oversteer out of that first corner. Decent exit. 3 tenths up already. Bosh. Into the next corner. Brake about there. Ride the curb. Avoid the gravel. Decent exit. Lost a bit of time, but it's fine. Now I'm going to brake a bit more. Stick to the inside of the Lesmo. And the second one. Gaining even more time. We are half a second up, which is a lot, but not that much. Now into Ascari. Now into Ascari. Late on the brakes. In. Ride the curb. Ow. That was pretty good. Another 2 tenths found. I did go a bit too much on the inside on the first part of that again, but I'm going to ignore it. And into the Parabolica. It's not a bad run through there. I'm going to gain a bit more time. It's a lot of time gained. 8 tenths of a second, but it's just not good, is it? Yeah, I mean, what can I do? So, I only gained 3 positions despite finding 8 tenths of a second, and I'm going to finish 6 tenths. Oh, wow. Oscar Piastri, what in the name of all that is holy are you cooking? 3 tenths up on my teammate. Great performance by Tsunoda and Piastri. 3 tenths off my own teammate, though, that's really bad. Well, I suppose, you know, Monza is a track where you can overtake. I can recover this, but starting P11 is not what you want. And here we are on Sunday afternoon for the Formula 1 Pirelli Gran Premio d'Italia 2027. Starting P11, we might be a couple places up because of some grid penalties. I don't know about that just yet. But, you know, I mean, it is P11, it's not great, but like I said, this track you can overtake, there's DRS, and I'm actually going to make a bold call. I'm actually going to up my downforce on my car by a couple, and this is purely because I was hitting the speed barrier of 365, in fact, I was actually going over it to 366. Way before the corner even started, which, you know, means, you know, I've got a bit of straight line speed in hand. So I'm going to give myself a bit more downforce to try and stick with some cars during this race. And also, I am starting P10. So we gain an extra place for free because of an engine penalty behind. As per usual, we're doing a soft medium strategy. No fuel. I think we're ready. 20 laps. Let's go. Now, we know about me and my good starts. We need one of them here today. And that is exactly what I've got. Straight ahead of Iwasa and one of the McLarens. Already getting in the mixture of some of the other cars ahead. Now, I'm going to brake a bit earlier than usual. Wheel to wheel with an Alpine. Trying to stick with it. Try not to push him off. And that is 4 places gained on the very first corner. My teammate Tsunoda has just lost out on a place to Piastri. One of the Ferraris is up to P1. How has that happened? How is the Ferrari in P1? That is crazy to me. Come on, Tsunoda. We need a big weekend from you. I believe Perez is going for it on him. And I'm just trying to stick with the front pack, and that's about it. My straight line speed does actually seem extremely good as well. Little bit of wheel-to-wheel action from my teammate and Perez. I'm going to try and use the slipstream and get ahead of Verstappen. Here we come, baby. Oh, my goodness. Here I come. I have arrived. I am arrived. Hello. How are you doing? I'm going around here. I'm braking. We're going 3 wide into this corner. It's not going to work. I have managed to brake later than the other 2. And is that not the most amazing thing you have ever seen in your life? I have just overtaken 4 cars down the main straight on lap 2. And on lap 2, I started P10. After a dismal quali, I am already up to P2. What? What's even more crucial is Oscar Piastri has managed to get into P3. He's on hard tyres. He's holding up everyone. This is big. This is going to build a nice little comfort gap for me to go and chase down Charles Leclerc. Come on! I'm feeling good in this car, you know. Fastest lap for Fusimus Cribitus. 1 minute 17.8. DRS enabled. Will Perez go for the move on Piastri down the main straight, I wonder? Perez has done it, and so has Tsunoda. Tsunoda up to P4 now as well. And I've also gained 2 seconds on them. So it must have been quite the hefty scrap. And look at that, Tsunoda up to P2. Piastri has got Perez up to P4. And now Piastri's done them both. What is going on behind me? There is such a large scrap going on. And look at the time it's gaining me. That's another second. And now Tsunoda gets back ahead of Piastri. What in the name of everything is going on? And now Piastri back ahead of Tsunoda. What is happening? Meanwhile, I'm losing serious time on the Ferrari in front, and this is because I don't have much ERS to use. We are going to pit on lap 9, and the tyre deck don't look too bad right now. Now, do I go for one of my world-famous undercuts to try and get Leclerc? Because I ain't going to be able to beat him on track. As Tsunoda once again passes Oscar Piastri for P3, will he actually keep P3 now? Please, we need these points. Oh, for God's sake! Piastri re-overtakes Tsunoda for 3rd. Come on, Tsunoda, you're looking like Prime Perez right now. Like, Tsunoda, you need to be beating Piastri on hards, like, convincingly. Like, come on. Alright, come on, Tsunoda, you've got to get Piastri here. You have to. There he goes, he's gone for the move. Can he actually make it stick? I think he has. Yes. Finally, Tsunoda gets past Piastri. Probably won't last very long, but he has done it. And also, I haven't even really been keeping track. Look how much I'm catching Leclerc. I'm up to 1.5 now. It's just these Lesmos that have been ruining me all race so far. Now, I think I'm still going to come in a lap early, which is actually this lap, and get the undercut on Leclerc. Or if the pace still ain't bad, I could stay out another lap. As Piastri, oh my god, Tsunoda, please! It can't be that hard, he's on hard tyres, for God's sake. Oh, anyway, Tsunoda's having an absolute stinky day at the office. I'm going to be boxing this lap and go for an undercut. Here we go. And once again in this series, I'm doing an undercut, as the other Ferrari, I believe, is DNFing currently. So Carlos Sainz not having a very fun day. 2.2 second stop for the Foot Crim F1 team. That is bloody decent. We're going to exit the pits in a lovely bit of clean air. That's really good from the boys. Now it's time to absolutely dump my ERS tank, get the best lap time possible, and try and jump ahead of Leclerc. Right, we can see, I believe that is Leclerc that has come into the pits. Tsunoda stayed out. And here we go. Will I jump ahead of Leclerc? Oh, I am. Oh, I'm not. That is... Okay, well, I am going to jump ahead, but it's, like, by nothing. So, I suppose the undercut, by definition, has worked. However, the gap ain't that big. Now, what I really don't like is that my teammate Tsunoda has actually stayed out an extra lap, even beyond the hard runners of Piastri and everyone else. I really don't like this call by Yuki Tsunoda's strategy team. I don't know why that side of the garage have really bad strategies. Although, to be fair, in my case, I usually come up with my own strategies mid-race. So, yeah, maybe Tsunoda just ain't it. Right, now what I'm going to do with doing is I'm going to go for a move, but I'm going to make sure that I get the DRS, swing around the outside. Now I can use DRS, and see you later. Fastest lap for me as well, 1 minute 17.4. Get straight up to the speed barrier of 366. Braked a little bit too early there, but it's fine. We can now see Tsunoda in the pits, and he is actually going to drop down to, I believe, P5 now. And he does. He drops to P5 because of a horrible strategy, once again, from the Foot Crim F1 team on Tsunoda's side. All my guy had to do was pit on the same lap as everyone else, and he'd be on for a P3. But no, he has to be different, he has to be special. Pit a lap later than everyone, pit 2 laps later than everyone. Why not? Now you got the consequences. Yes, he's going to have a lap or 2 newer tyres, but what does that mean when you're in P5 stuck in traffic surrounded by cars in a DRS train? Nothing. So we'll probably switch focus off Tsunoda for a bit. Let's focus on my race. And obviously, you know, fighting for a win with Charles Leclerc. Gap is 1.7 currently. And yes, I have increased my downforce, as you can see, to 11. Before it was only 5. So, double my downforce just to try and extend some, like, gap in the corners, which I've not been doing this whole weekend so far. And Yuki Tsunoda drops out of the top 5. My goodness. To begin lap 14, the gap is currently 1.7, and honestly, we are exactly equal through the entirety of the lap. The only place that Leclerc's catching me is through the first Lesmo. I don't know what I'm doing wrong through that corner. I don't know if I'm braking too much. I don't know if I'm braking too little. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but something in that corner is not right, because that's the only part on the entire circuit I'm losing time. And, you know, obviously driving on the gravel doesn't help. But see, I go in, not bad overall, but I lose a lot of time still. My second Lesmo ain't that bad though, and the plus side, I can use some ERS, like 5 to 10%, and my gap goes back up again, so this is going to be a really close finish. Lap 16 now, we're in the final 4 laps of this race, and the gap is still 1.7, come on! Now, one of the final things I'll say about Tsunoda this race is that he has absolutely bottled even a top 5, because as you can see, the gaps of Verstappen and Tsunoda's one place behind him, there you go, he just overtook him, is now 20 seconds. Even if Tsunoda keeps ahead of Verstappen, he's got another 2 seconds to Sergio Perez, which you ain't gonna do in 3 laps. And even if he does that, there's an 8 seconds to Oscar Piastri, so Tsunoda, another really good qualifying performance, but can't back it up with a good race performance. And it's mainly to do with a strategy. I mean, wasn't it Hungary? I think it was. Tsunoda came out on hard tyres for no reason. He could have just come on mediums or softs, I think it was, and he would have been chilling for a P2. Comes out on hards, loses loads of places. Today, in Monza, he pits 2 laps later than everyone else on horrible old softs, comes out on the mediums when everyone else has already gone like 10 seconds ahead. For some reason, this man always has the absolute worst strategies in the world. But now, into the final 3 laps, the gap to Leclerc is 1.8, and I don't want to jinx nothing, and I don't want to, like, celebrate before I've even won. But if I do win this race, it'll be an unbelievable win, let's be honest, you know. A horrible, horrible qualifying performance. P11 only. 3/10 off my teammate. 6/10 off pole. I come into the race, straight up to P6 off the start. A 4-car overtake to elevate me to P2. Another one of my world-famous undercuts to take the lead, and I've managed to hold on to it. So far, at least, of course, we still have 2 laps left. But I feel confident, my car is working well. And somehow, Tsunoda's not only lost out to Verstappen again, they've both lost out to Iwasa. Or they did, and now Verstappen's got Iwasa back, and Iwasa's got Verstappen back, and now Verstappen's got Iwasa back. What is going on there? There is all sorts of kerfuffles going on. That lot, the Verstappen, Iwasa, Tsunoda, Joe, they've been scrapping, and now Tsunoda takes P5. What is going on? They have been scrapping from start to finish. And here we go, final lap of the Italian Grand Prix. My tyres are finished. I cannot even drive around a single corner without having severe oversteer. It's time to absolutely ruin my ERS tank and use every percentage I have and just try and, you know, keep it together. Hold on and take a win. Gap to Leclerc's actually increased to 2.3 now. Into that chicane. Little bit on the gravel, but it's fine. Now into the Lesmos that I mean, this first Lesmo, I like driving around it. I'm just really slow for some reason. Around the second Lesmo, struggled with oversteer through there this whole race. The gap is down to 2 seconds, but it ain't enough, is it? Now, into the Ascari chicane for the final time. And this has been a real struggle, as you can see, on my old tyres. Down the back straight for the final time, a 19-lap thriller from Futimus Crimitus III round the Parabolica for the final time, and I make it 7 wins in this 2027 Season 5 campaign. Come on! What a time to be alive. That was a great race performance. I mean, individually, my driving, I'm not too happy with. I made a lot of mistakes. I actually used more flashbacks than usual. You know, a lot of oversteer, not really managing my tyres at all. But at the end of the day, I won. So, there it is. And here's your final finishing order. Yuki Tsunoda does manage to bring it home in P5, but when you're starting P2, you've got to be on that podium, simple as. And with me, you know, it's not a good look. Tsunoda drops from P2 to P5, I go from P10 to P1, and I also got the fastest lap by about, what, 6 tenths? No, 4 tenths from the second fastest lap, so I'm going to pick up all 26 points. So I now have a 115 point lead in the Drivers' Championship, and Perez is somehow still in P2. Yuki Tsunoda, P7, 10 points away from both Red Bull drivers, 17 points off Iwasa, 18 points off Russell. It's definitely recoverable, but 148 points behind your teammate after 8 or 9 races is shocking. Now, looking at the constructors, I now have, well, we have a 113 point lead there as well. We are absolutely cooking in this 5th and final season of My Team Career, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have. I don't have much time for an outro because as I'm recording this, in 10 minutes time, I need to boot up my stream for the Imola Grand Prix in Formula 1, my watch-alongs I do. And yeah, so that's going to be all from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye!